We are live on Rumble Studio, which includes Rumble, YouTube, LinkedIn. I know those are all good. We are also good over on Facebook. Good morning, Facebook. I will check X in a second. We are good on Instagram. Good morning. We are active on TikTok. Good morning, everybody on TikTok. Let's see. Over on X, are we good? Yes, we are live on X. Good morning, everybody on X. I like that. I look good on X. Shout out to X. Shout out to the camera angle. Shout out to the natural light and the artificial light we got going on over here. I hope everybody's having a great Thursday. And let me see what's going on over here. Okay. After I get done with this live, I get back to my favorite job, which is proving people wrong on the internet, which I usually do through X. That's a joke, but I do like proving people wrong on the internet sometimes. To a limit, to a certain limit. Can't spend all day doing it because I literally could do that as a full-time job. They create a career out of that where you can make 7, 8 plus figures proving people wrong on the internet. I might sign up. But I hope everybody's having a great Thursday. I'll be ready to get into our topic here today. We got a nice, refreshing rain shower this morning in South Florida. I went outside this morning and I was about to start my run. It was a little bit before. It's probably like 4:50 a.m. and it was a nice healthy rain shower coming down, so I had to delay my run. I delayed my run by about 15 minutes while the rain finished because the weather app said it was going to finish in about 15 minutes. I let it finish for about 15 minutes, and that kind of cools off the atmosphere. The rain cools off the atmosphere. I don't know the science behind it, but it does. So it feels a little bit cooler right now today. But yesterday morning, it was so hot. Even when I was doing this live stream yesterday, it was so damn hot. I don't even know why. And I'm not outside. I don't have any windows open, but you can just feel the humidity and the heat sometimes. But the rain cooled things off. So we appreciate the rain. We need the rain. The grass got to grow. The trees got to be nourished. So we do appreciate the rain. The topic we're getting into here today is about Stephen Colbert, his show getting canceled. It's not really about Stephen Colbert because I don't watch his show. I remember watching his show a little bit back in the days during the Obama years. This girl that I used to date, she watched TV like all fucking day. Her whole thing was watching TV. So she actually put me on to some stuff that was interesting. Colbert was at that time pretty interesting. He started to lose his fastball though over the years, along with others. Jon Stewart, another one. We'll get into all of that in a moment. But shout yourselves out. Tell me your locations as y'all are coming in. Tell me your locations as y'all are checking in so I know where everybody's checking in from. And then we'll get into the proceedings this morning. So again, good morning, Rumble, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and are we active on Facebook? Yes, we're good on Facebook. Good morning, Facebook. Super Hero. I don't know who this person is. Dude, you're spamming my comments now. We got to get rid of you. You can't spam my comments. We got to ban this guy from the page. Yeah, you can't be spamming my comments, whoever that person was over on Facebook. We got rid of them. My Facebook page is /Work on Your Game University. Facebook /Work on Your Game University. For any of you active Facebook users, or if I ever get suspended again off TikTok, Facebook is one of the places where you will be able to find me. Shout yourselves out in the comments section here. TikTok, please keep liking the stream, please. Please like the stream, TikTok. We only have 1,000 likes yet, and there's 67 of you in the room. That's ridiculous. Like the stream. Please like the stream. All you got to do is tap the screen if you're on TikTok. I'm looking at y'all TikTok. Tap the screen, and that number right now says 758. That's anemic. That's anemic. When I was in college, my college coach, my sophomore year, he would have us do drills sometimes, and if he didn't like the effort in the drill, he would say, "Okay, that's the crippled children." He said, "That's the crippled children effort. Now do it again and do it right." So that is right now we got the crippled children effort of likes. I need y'all to get that up, get the likes up over on TikTok. Let me get into it, and let me not say that again before I get banned off TikTok again. So anyway, checking in from Arizona, Mary Ann Sandoval Chavez. 4 names. Good morning, Mary Ann. Checking in from Arizona. Where in Arizona you at? I got some friends in Phoenix. Shout out to Phoenix. Actually, everybody I know in Arizona is either in Phoenix or Scottsdale. I heard it's nice out there. It's just a little bit too dry for me. I like the humidity. Newburgh, New York. Carol Ann Collins. Good morning. Lucky Gal checking in from California. Good morning. Courtney, good morning. Aaliyah stationed in Japan. Shout out to Japan. I've never been there, but I heard it's nice. Hurricane checking in from Tucson, Arizona. Shout out to Tucson. Actually, I know some people in Tucson, as a matter of fact. They moved from Philly to Tucson. Maria Martin checking in from Richmond, VA. Good morning. Shout out to Richmond, Virginia. Shout out to Virginia. Shina H. Good morning. Christine checking in from Charlotte. Good morning, Charlotte. Shout out to Charlotte. I have been there. Richmond, VA. Santan Valley, Arizona. I never even heard of Santan Valley, but it sounds like it's hot there. That's what it sounds like. East Valley. Sacktown is in the house. Maria Martin, you shout out Richmond like 3 times. Shout out to Richmond. We got you. And Marianne said, you ever heard of Sniff Farms, a mile away? No, I've never heard of that farm. Why would I have heard of that farm, Marianne? Gary checking in from Waco, Texas. I have heard of Waco, Texas. Everybody knows Waco, Texas from, what was that guy's name? David Koresh in the Branch Davidian compound. I remember that from like the 90s. I never forgot about Waco, Texas. It's based on that. And Marianne said, Google it. Now, I'm probably not going to do that, but you can tell me what it is and why I would know about it. Mama GG6 checking in from Virginia Beach. Shout out to anything with the word beach. Anything with beach I like. Miami Beach, Virginia Beach. What's another beach? Rehoboth Beach. What's another place with beach? Myrtle Beach. Anything with beach I like. Long Beach. I like beaches. Gary G. Gonez. Good morning. Sherry 1967 checking in from Michigan. Man of Steel from Charleston, South Carolina. Shout out to South Carolina. Please keep liking the live. Those of y'all on TikTok, thank you. We got over 1,000 likes now. We got over 4,000. Appreciate that. So let's get into the proceedings here this morning and make sure I get through everything that needs to be talked about. Let me set my timer here because we do like to do things on time here. We start on time. We end on time. This live will go no longer than 9:30 a.m. Eastern, just so all of you have proper expectations set. Right now, it is 8:10 a.m. Eastern. So in mid-July 2025, which is around this time, we're in late July now, but about a week or so ago, the news came out that the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, he's the one hosting the show right now. This show is going to be ending, but it doesn't end until May of 2026. Not everybody knows that. So the show did get canceled, but it's not canceled yet. It's basically Stephen Colbert is what they would call a lame duck. That's what you call it when you know somebody's getting fired at the end of their term, but they're still working. So he has a lame duck show that's going to be canceled or ending in May of 2026. And the announcement sparked immediate controversy because some are saying this is a political hit job. And they're saying that Donald Trump, because he's in the White House, he pushed CBS's parent company to get rid of Colbert as a condition for allowing a major merger to go through. So what's happening right now is Stephen Colbert's company, CBS, is in the midst of trying to do a business merger. And people are saying, or they are theorizing in some way, and we're going to get into that Donald Trump, because he doesn't like Colbert, because Colbert often dedicates a lot of his show to basically trashing Donald Trump, but everybody trashes Donald Trump, and most of the people in media trash Donald Trump. So people are saying that because Colbert takes so much time and energy to trash Trump, that Trump saw an opportunity to get back at Colbert by getting Colbert's show canceled as basically a stipulation. If y'all want this merger to go through, you got to fire Stephen Colbert. So some are trying to say that Trump has something to do with this. Others are saying this is a stretch because the real reason is simple economics, because Colbert's company claims that they were losing $40 million a year on the Colbert show. So Stephen Colbert earns $20 million a year for doing the show. His salary is $20 million a year. So he's making like NBA money doing this show, Stephen Colbert. His team, the staff that puts on the Stephen Colbert show, is 200 people. There are 200 people who work on the Stephen Colbert show. What the hell those 200 people are doing, I have no idea. But 200 people work on the show. He's making $20 million a year. And with all of that, the show is losing $40 million every single year. So if y'all want to understand why people get into TV and why they never leave, understand this. There's a lot of money in TV. A lot of money in broadcast TV. I'm not talking podcasting. I'm not talking YouTube. I'm talking actual TV. At a studio and these big networks, they have a ton of money. And I believe they're spending $100 million a year on this show, and they were only making back 60. That's how they're losing 40. And he was making 20. So the network claims that it's bleeding money, and that's the reason why they're shutting down the show. Now, mind you, they didn't fire Colbert from the show. They canceled the entire show. So they saying the show itself is not working. This is the Late Show, which has been around for a while. They canceled the entire show, including Colbert and including his team of 200 people. Now, Colbert's tone, as I told you, I used to watch a little bit of Stephen Colbert back in the day. During the Obama years, maybe 2009, 10, 11-ish, I would watch a little bit of Stephen Colbert, and he was actually funny. Because what Stephen Colbert would do is, of course, his show was kind of like similar to Jon Stewart. they would talk about current events, but not the way that I'm talking about. They would talk about it in a funny way, and they would dip into whatever political side. It didn't matter. Just anything that was coming up that they can make fun of. They would talk about it in a half serious, half funny way, and they would make jokes about it. And they were both actually funny. Stephen Colbert was funny back then when he would just poke fun at anything politically that he could poke fun at. Jon Stewart, the exact same thing. The problem for Colbert and with Jon Stewart, and they both have the exact same problem, and the problem is for the exact same reason, is that also, who's the other guy? Jimmy Kimmel, the guy who's on TV crying every now and then. These three guys all got the same problem, is that they all at one point were actually funny. Not so much about, I was never a big fan of Kimmel. Stewart, I liked at one point. Colbert, I liked at one point. Let's just say around 2010. They were both actually good. The problem both of them got happened around 2016. Everyone knows what happened in 2016. Donald Trump runs for president. Donald Trump wins the presidency. Please keep liking the live on TikTok. Donald Trump wins the presidency, and all of a sudden, a lot of people just lost their damn minds. They picked up what we all call Trump derangement syndrome, which is a form of cognitive dissonance around Donald Trump. And because they couldn't get over their either real or feigned, performed dislike for Donald Trump, whether they actually dislike him or not, I don't know. Most of these people, again, when you work for big companies like this, you got a lot of bosses and a lot of people who tell you what to do and what not to do. So you never really know, especially people on big networks. You don't know if they really believe the stuff they say or they're just doing it because the job told them to do it. They just been going super hard for the last 10 years on anything and everything Donald Trump, to the point that it stops being funny. It's okay if you make a joke about Donald Trump. There are some things that may have happened that you could joke about and you can make light of it and it can sound funny and cool. Even people who like Donald Trump could be able to laugh at it. Even MAGA supporters could laugh at it if it's actually funny. The issue is when you do it every single time you open your mouth, you're attacking him or you're trying to come up with some way to talk bad about him or make sure everybody sees you're virtue signaling that, hey, I'm not on the Trump side and I'm attacking Donald Trump. Eventually, the problem is you cut your audience in half because anybody who actually likes Donald Trump, they're looking at it and they're like, all right, you're doing a little bit extra. You're trying to make a show of going at him rather than being funny. Now you're kind of becoming partisan. You're becoming politically partisan. So you cut your audience in half, and you got to remember, even if he actually believes this, even if he actually believes and he hates Trump, let's just say Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, they both could be put in the same category. Let's say they both really don't like Trump on a personal level, even with the cameras off. That's fine. The issue is you're on broadcast TV and you're making tens of millions of dollars a year, and your job is to get eyeballs. And if half the country is on one side and half the country is on the other side, and you are making it clear that you're on one side, you have just cut your potential audience in half. That's a problem if you're making $20 million a year with a staff of 200 people. And this is what Stephen Colbert has done wrong. Same thing Jon Stewart's doing wrong, and he's probably next on the chopping block if you ask me. So this is what Colbert has done over the last 10 years. His show stopped being funny, and he became more politically funny, meaning it's funny if you don't like Donald Trump. And it's not even funny on that level because, again, I'm indifferent to whether you talk positive about Trump or negative about Trump. But if everything that you say is a virtue signal of I'm going against this thing, then it's not humor anymore, because humor should take anything. This is the whole purpose of humor. Purpose of being funny is you take anything that people tend to take seriously and that people are always talking about in a serious tone, and you make jokes about it. That's what makes comedy comedy. So you look at someone like Dave Chappelle, one of Dave Chappelle's recent stand-ups. I can't remember the name of it. What was the name of that recent Dave Chappelle show? Any of you know who watches the Dave Chappelle? I believe it was on Netflix. Let me see if I can find it. Was it Sticks and Stones? Anybody can tell me what was the name of that Dave Chappelle one? I think it was Sticks and Stones. But let me see. I think that's what it was called. So he has one called The Dreamer, which I didn't know about. This one came out in 2023. I don't think I saw that one. Yeah, Sticks and Stones. So he's got a bunch of them, actually. If you look at Dave Chappelle up on Netflix, he's got like 5 or 6, maybe 7 of these up here. But he had one called Sticks and Stones where he made a whole lot of fun out of the Rainbow Coalition. He made fun out of them. He made fun of domestic violence. He made fun of that. He made fun of a whole bunch of things that a lot of people are taking very seriously these days, and that's why it's comedy. That's what makes it comedy. In fact, you took a serious subject that most people get really serious about, that you make jokes about it. Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart, yes, presidency is a serious subject, and you do make jokes about it. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to make political jokes, you got to make jokes about everybody. Everybody has to be subject to being joked about. You can't make all your jokes about one side, because then it starts to look like exactly what it is. And then the people on the other side are going to be like, okay, I can't listen to this guy anymore, because obviously he's trying to make a political statement under the guise of being funny. And this is where these gentlemen have faltered, if you ask me. So Colbert's tone has shifted, especially after Trump got in, into just being anti-Trump monologues. And this is the same thing that Jimmy Kimmel has made this mistake. Jon Stewart has made this mistake. Colbert has made this mistake. All of them doing the exact same thing. They stopped being, because when I listened to Colbert back in the day, 2010, Jon Stewart also, not much Kimmel, but it would be light. They would make fun of politics, but they would do it in this light-hearted way that you could tell that it's a joke. They're being funny. They're kind of taking the edge off. They're giving you something to not be so serious anymore and just relax and let's just laugh at things that are happening. That's what these guys did. They don't do that anymore. Now they're trying to be more serious. Now they're delivering monologues. Now they're wagging their finger at people. How could you support this? This is bad. This is terrible. Everyone has to fight against this. All of this started in 2016. It got bigger during 2020, the virus. We remember that. And then it got bigger again in 2024 when Trump won again. So these people have just continually doubled and tripled down on the let me not be the funny guy that you turn to laugh at the end of the day. Let me be the serious guy, and I'm going to lecture you and tell you how you're supposed to think and how you're supposed to feel about these topics that I take very seriously, and you should take as seriously as I take it. That's fine if you're working on CNN and you're Abby Phillips or Van Jones or one of these people, and you are at a job where the show is supposed to be serious. If I'm turning on a serious show, let me know I'm watching a serious show. But if I turn on Dave Chappelle, I want to hear jokes. If I turn on Chris Rock, I want to hear some jokes. I turn on Stephen Colbert or Jon Stewart, I know what your lane is. Your lane is to take serious topics, make light of them, and then make me laugh based on a serious topic. That's your job. When they stopped doing that, they lost the plot. And again, they all have made this mistake. Please keep liking the live over on TikTok. Appreciate y'all. We're at 11,000. Let's get it up. And this is where they have completely lost the plot, and they're trying to be too serious. Like, dude, I don't want a comedian trying to be serious. I want a comedian to tell jokes. All right, Dave Chappelle. A lot of people attacked him after he put out that Sticks and Stones because he made fun of the LGBTQ group. And he had a whole long, how Dave Chappelle stretches his jokes out over the course of an hour. He keeps coming back to the joke. That's how he does his style. And people got mad at him. And I'm like, how y'all getting mad at a comedian for being funny? His whole point is to take the stuff you take serious and make you laugh at it. And people are taking themselves way too seriously these days, including the comedians. And this is where Colbert and Jon Stewart have completely failed. And again, they weren't doing this during the Obama years. During the Obama years, they had no problem making fun of stuff. Now that Trump's in, all of a sudden, everybody got to get serious and we can't laugh at anything. So this cancellation is not just about one man, as I said. This is about the slow death, first of all, of legacy TV. We know that many of us, most of you who are watching me right now, listening to me right now, many of you get your news and information and updates and entertainment even, not from network TV and legacy TV. Most of you get it from what? TikTokers, YouTubers, podcasters, streamers, Instagrammers, people who are on independent, quote unquote, independent platforms, and they're not controlled by some big network, NBC, CBS, ABC, etc. Individual people. And one of the reasons why we get our material from them, several reasons. One of them is because we all got these smartphones, and it's easier to connect to information, not information, but material straight from a social media platform very conveniently than it is to have to turn on NBC or ABC. Secondly, even though those platforms have adjusted and they all have apps, and there's an NBC app, there's a Fox app, there's an ABC app, it's much easier to just plug into a TikToker or a YouTuber and hear what they have to say than it is to go through ABC's app. Their apps are still it feels very legacy. Like, you got to go through all this stuff, and you got the two-factor authentication, you got to jump through hoops, and you got to have an account, and you got to pay for this, and it's too much friction in order to get access to the material. And third, as I already explained, when you work for one of these big conglomerates, you can't just do what you want to do. You cannot just say whatever you want to say. And this is the reason why I said earlier, you got to take what these guys say with a grain of salt. Does Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel really believe the things that they're saying? We don't actually know. Unless you know them personally, you don't really know. Because when you work for a network that's that big, you got a whole bunch of bosses above you. Mind you, Stephen Colbert's show had 200 people working on it. What the hell are 200 people doing on that show? I was listening to Megyn Kelly the other day. She said when she was working on TV, she had like 9 people on her staff, 9 producers, and then a handful of other people, maybe 15 people total. He has 200. What the hell are 200 people doing on that show? I'm bringing that up to say, when you got 200 people on your team in a business and you're working in network, there's a whole bunch of bosses above you that can send a word down to you and let you know, hey, this is what you can say, this is what you can't say. So these people may be compromised. They may be saying things just because their boss is telling them to say it. Maybe, maybe not. The whole point is most of us get our material from independent creators these days. Another reason why we get our material from independent creators, as I just explained, is that an independent creator has no reason to tell you something that they don't actually believe. Anything I say to you, I actually believe it because I have no bosses. There's nobody telling me what I can say and what I can't say. I say whatever I want to say, and nobody can check me for any opinion that I put out. Whether you agree with it or not is irrelevant. It's my opinion. But if I was working at NBC, you had the question, all right, Dre, do you actually believe what you're saying? And no matter what I tell you, you always have a little bit of doubt you may have in your mind because, well, how many bosses you got? Who's writing that check for $20 million? And those people can tell you what's okay and what's not okay. So many of us have shifted to these independent platforms on YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, podcasts. Trust is higher. Production costs are lower, so it's easier to get in the game. The content is more personal. You feel like you're talking to a person who's a real person. There's not a packaged presentation what somebody is giving you on, even if it is very professionally produced, it's not a packaged message that you're getting. And what Colbert has become, I don't think he even noticed it, what he's become over the last 15 or so years. Jon Stewart also falls into this category. These people have become symbolic of old systems. They become old. I remember when I first came across Colbert, I was like, this is great. I never heard anything like this. Jon Stewart, same thing. I never heard anything like this. Someone takes the news of the day in politics, which I generally ignored, and they bring it up, and then they make fun of it, and they kind of make it relatable to the everyday person who doesn't really care about politics, and it's funny. I said, this is great. I thought Jon Stewart was great when I first heard of him 15 years ago. I thought Stephen Colbert great when I first heard of him 15 years ago. He had like this dry humor. They were both the same thing. Like they had this dry sense of humor, and they were kind of being comedians while talking about something that I generally would ignore. I said they went and found a way to monetize politics, which is generally boring. I know a lot of you may get excited about politics because Trump's involved, but politics in and of itself, if you actually pay attention to the hearings and the stuff that happens in politics, is generally extremely boring. Is very stiff, and this is why you see a whole lot of boring, stiff people working in politics, because that's what it is, boring and stiff. They went and took that and made it into something entertaining, which was genius. It was a stroke of genius when they did it. The problem is now they go old because they don't even realize how much they were changing over time. So all that said, let me introduce myself and let's get more into these points. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete, author of 41 books. I created this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is we help high performers perform at their highest level, do so consistently, produce more results. We have a system. We weaponize discipline, structure, and systems to help you accelerate your performance and systematize the discipline, the execution, all the things that you want in your team, all the things you want in yourself. We got a whole process for putting that in place. You can learn more about us, me, and that by going to the links in my profile, which all of you, whichever app you're watching me on, I'm on 7 different streaming platforms right now. Click the link in my profiles and you'll see the links. It'll take you to different places. So I'm going to answer questions at the end, by the way. So CBS is losing millions of dollars, at least according to them, and they're basically shedding overhead, and cutting Colbert makes sense because he's the biggest fish. As they say, if you have a whole bunch of problems, you probably want to handle the biggest problem first and might make some of the smaller problems go away. So Colbert's money losing operations, probably one of the biggest problems CBS needs to get rid of. And these big networks are facing problems right now. One of the biggest problems they're facing is that people are cord cutting. How many of you still have cable TV? And I know CBS is not cable TV, but how many of you have cable TV? If you're a cable subscriber, put me. And if you're not, put no. How many of you actually subscribe to and pay for cable television to this day? I'm talking about on actual TV. I'm not talking on your phone, on your tablet, but you actually have a cable subscription. I think my parents still got cable TV. I don't have cable TV. I only own a TV. There are no TVs in my home. If I'm looking at something, I'm looking at it through a device. Well, TV is a device, but an internet device like a tablet, phone, or computer. So let's see. We got to know. K Hubble said me. Marky Man has dish. All right, people still got the satellite dishes. Royal Roro says me. Lacey River says me. Michelle says me. Okay, so a few of you still got it. Megan Newcomb, Shag has it. Hex, I have cable TV because I'm old. Yeah, all y'all with cable TV, y'all are old. Nothing wrong being old. Everybody eventually gets old. You better hope you get old. Now, if you don't get old, you got another problem. Sherry, you got it. Renting Palm Beach said, yes, you got it. Leela said 26 years old, haven't had cable since I was 7. Yeah. So what? 7, what was that? 19 years ago, which made what? 2006? Yeah, that makes sense. We have to plus all the apps. Okay, fair enough. You mean like houses that you rent, or you mean houses that you live in? Okay, so a few of you got it. Katie said I use Rocky. What's Rocky? Mana still says YouTube considered cable. No, YouTube TV is not cable, even though they charge you the same amount. What's YouTube TV, like $65 a month? I remember I was looking at that a few years ago because I was going to watch the NBA finals. It was like $65. I think I got a month for free or something like that. Gary said I do is $300 a month for Comcast. $300, Gary, how many channels you got? 6,000? $300? The cable TV? That's crazy. China 8 said you got Direct TV. Direct TV, okay. Mr. Ohio J said I use Hulu. Yeah, they all start to cost the same amount of money nowadays. YouTube, Hulu, they all cost like $60, $70, $80 a month. But anyway, these companies, I'm talking about the network legacy companies, they are facing a challenge that more people are moving to these independent platforms. And people trust watching a YouTube TV or a Hulu or Amazon TV or whatever Amazon has out these days. Not Prime Video, which allegedly comes with your Prime subscription. I have that, but then all the good stuff you want to watch, you got to pay for it anyway. So Amazon needs to do something about that, by the way. They're probably just going to raise their prices and give it to everybody free. That's my prediction. But people are just not looking at these network legacy platforms the same way anymore, on top of the fact that we don't trust them, especially after the Trump getting elected, number one, the virus happening in 2020, number two. A lot of us do not trust. The general public does not trust traditional media because we believe they're compromised. We believe they're being told by their advertisers and sponsors who provide them the majority of their money what can be said and what can't be said. And when you don't trust what they're saying, then why would you pay them? And it doesn't help them that independent producers, independent publishers, people like myself and thousands of others, we are the ones coming out and telling you the exact thing. Like, yo, do you even know if you even trust what they're saying on CBS? You can trust that whatever I'm saying, I actually believe. That doesn't mean you will agree with what I'm saying, but you can trust that what I'm saying, I believe it because nobody's telling me what to say. Now, you go listen to Stephen Colbert. Do you believe that everything he says is his actual opinion? You can't, because, I mean, how many bosses you got when you got 200 people on staff and you ain't the boss? Think about that. So the timing of this cancellation with a merger awaiting looks suspicious. So this is what some people are trying to say, for those of you who don't know. Right now, Stephen Colbert's company, who he works for, I believe is CBS that he was on, right? Is it CBS? So his show, I believe it's CBS. His show is trying to do a merger right now. They're trying to merge with another company, which basically means they're going to put all their resources together and everybody's going to make a whole bunch of money. They think that Trump is trying to get Colbert canceled he's basically saying, if y'all cancel Colbert, then I'll let you do your merger. Because he could kind of, with his presidential powers, he could block the merger. So some are saying, well, Trump is trying to do that to block it. I call nonsense on that for several reasons. First of all, in addition to Stephen Colbert, how many people on network TV have been trashing Donald Trump for the last 10 years? I think we would have to say, I mean, I don't even watch network TV, but if we just thought about it, I can name a handful. Jon Stewart is one. You got the women on The View. It's 4 of them on The View. They trash Donald Trump. You got Jimmy Kimmel is another. All right, right there. If the women on The View is 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 people right there. It's a whole bunch of people trash Donald Trump all the time. So they're saying that Donald Trump just wants to go after Stephen Colbert. I don't think Stephen Colbert is even you want to say who would be the most annoying message that's always going at Trump? I say Jimmy Kimmel's more annoying than Stephen Colbert. And I say the ladies on The View are more annoying than Jimmy Kimmel. So if John Trump's going to go after anybody, why is he going after this guy? And so I call bullshit on this. I don't think that's what it is. So Trump critics are saying this is censorship. This is state-sponsored censorship. So a lot of people saying this earlier this week. It's state-sponsored censorship, and they're trying to compare it to Germany. And they're saying, oh, well, that's how it started over there. Like, come on, really? Are y'all really going to keep trying this for the last? I really thought, I'm going to tell you something I was wrong about. I'm not often wrong, but sometimes I'm wrong. One thing I thought I was wrong about, or I thought I was right about, turns out I was wrong, was in November of 2024. After Trump won the election, defeated Kamala, we know he's going to be president again. I thought that all the people who were doing all this TDS stuff during his first administration, even during the time that he wasn't president, during the Biden administration, when we knew he was going to run again, Even through all the stuff that happened legally in 2024, I said, all right, he won. He is on his second term, which means he can't run again. He's a what you call a lame duck president because he can't run again, so we know he's out after this term. I thought people would try to be a little bit more sensible and reasonable and rational when discussing him because, again, what reason do you have to trash him now? He can't run for election again, so you have no reason to talk bad about him. All right? There's nothing to set him up to look bad for. It's over. He has these 4 years and it's over. Can't people just talk? Let's just talk rationally and logically about the guy now because, again, trashing him doesn't do anything. There's not another time when people will have to decide to vote for him or not vote for him. He's retired after this. I was wrong. I was 100% wrong about this. That people have tripled down on their Trump derangement syndrome in this second time around. But I don't understand what's the point? What are you doing? He can't run for president again. So trashing his name doesn't do anything. I see people on X saying, oh, well, I'll go overseas and everybody overseas is talking about how bad the president is. I'm like, first of all, you're probably lying. But secondly, let's just say that that's true. So he already won. He got from now until 2028 and into early 2029. So what? All right, people don't like him. You think he's bad. You think he's not a good president. All the stuff all the terrible things y'all said he was going to do, he's doing. And Kamala predicted that this is going to happen. And all these things that people are saying. I'm like, okay, now what? He's still the president until early 2029. What's the point? I don't understand why people are still doing it. I don't understand the TDS is so strong that people just can't get over it and just talk about this guy rationally and logically, even though there is nothing to gain from continuing to trash him. I just don't understand it. And I'm going to answer all questions and comments at the end, by the way. So any of you leaving comments, I get to them when I get through the content. So Colbert shifted from entertainment to an agenda, which is what I said earlier. He alienated his audience because he had an audience of people on the left and on the right. That when I used to listen to him and hear him in 2010, you didn't have to be on the left or the right. I had no political affiliation. I guess you could say maybe I did because I voted for Obama, but I didn't have a political affiliation. I didn't care if you trashed or made fun of people on the left or made fun of people on the right. I didn't care because it was funny. Now he's shifted to having an agenda. He's trying to make himself be taken more seriously. And again, this is a reflection of TDS. People got so emotionally engaged in talking negatively. And when I say TDS, I'm talking about the people who trash him. People got so emotionally engaged in trashing Donald Trump that they went from being funny to like, hey, listen to me because I'm trying to be serious here. Like, no, I didn't turn on your show to hear serious talk. Turn on your show to laugh. Make me laugh. Give me something light to end my day with. And now you're trying to wag your finger and lecture me about politics. Like, I don't want to hear this shit. And this is where Colbert faltered. So 200-person staff. This is bloated traditional media. And unfortunately, those 200 people are going to lose their jobs. Not really unfortunately. I mean, this is what it is. They got a whole year to find a new job. If all of you knew you were getting fired, but you had damn near a year to find another job, that'd be better than getting fired on the spot, which is what I hear happens to most people. I know who get fired. They get fired that day. All right, at least you got what's it? It's July. So July, what is that, 10 months? You got 10 months to find a job. You in much better shape than somebody who gets fired and you got like 10 minutes to go find another job. So 200 people on the staff is bloated. What independent platform these days? Can y'all name a single independent platform these days that's not backed by traditional media that has 200 people on staff? There ain't one. There isn't one. And there's a whole bunch of people you know from network TV who have their own platforms. They ain't got 200 people. All right, Stephen A. Smith got a podcast. Does he have 200 people on his staff? No. Shannon Sharp, he got 200 people. Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly. Do any of these people, even, what's my man's name? Alex Jones, Steve Bannon. Do any of these people have 200 people on their staff? No. Now, all of those people I just named put together probably don't employ 200 people. Why? It's not because they're not good. They don't have 200 people because you don't need 200 people to put a show up. You need 200 people. You need a camera. You need good lighting. You need good microphones. And you need whoever is going to actually take the material and put it out so everybody can see it. So you could do that with 3 people, 3 hardworking people that are full-time. You could do it with 3 people. You could do it with 10. You probably ain't got that many. I doubt Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly. I doubt any of these people have even 10 people on their staff. Shannon Sharp, I doubt any of them have 10 people. They might have 2 camera people. They got a producer who's maybe in their ear telling them stuff. You got a couple staff people who go find the information and get the documents and things that they can read on camera while they're doing the show. So let's say maybe 2 or 3 camera people. So that's 3. You have a person who's just actively letting you know what's happening on the show. Hey, a caller is calling in or somebody, a guest coming on. Maybe you got 2 of those people. So that's 5. You got people who gather information. Let's say you got 2 or 3 of those. There's 8. And then you have the producers who actually take the material and the editors who take the material from what you recorded and actually fix it up and get it and put it out. Maybe you got 15 people. Maybe 15. 200. So again, this is what happens in traditional media. When things get bloated, they just keep adding people to the staff. Independent creators now, if you want to talk about just reach, people are getting more views with a $20,000 setup than Stephen Colbert got with a $20 million setup. This guy's getting paid $20 million. Then to spend another 40 putting the show together. You telling me that you would need $20 million to put a show together these days? So if you want to record in the studio, I just saw a video this morning with, it was Cam Newton. There was a little clip of Cam because he got a lot of attention the other day because of a comment he made about a quarterback in the NFL and all that. And Cam Newton, I don't listen to Cam Newton's show, but I see he's in the studio. Looks like he has a studio set up and he has his lighting all set up. And he got his cameras and he has a co-host. How many people y'all think on Cam Newton's whole team for his show? Give me a number. So Cam Newton, actually, you thought, and you don't know who Cam Newton is. Between Cam Newton, Alex Jones, Steve Bannon, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, any one of these people, tell me the biggest number of people you think any one of these people has on staff. How many people you think any of these folks have on staff? Like the highest number of all those people I just said. How many people they got on their whole staff? Cam Newton, Megyn Kelly, Jones, Bannon, Candace. How many people total? Royal Roro said 25. Yeah, I think 25 would be even high. I think that'd be shooting it pretty high. I think most of them probably no more than, maybe 5, 10 people. 5 or 10 people. What are you going to have? Marky Man said 30. What are you going to have 30 people do? What are they doing? You might have 2 cameras. You got people gathering information. Let's say you got 3 people getting information. You got 2 people coordinating your guests if you have guests. Candace Owens doesn't even have guests. So what are they doing? What's 30 people doing? They don't need that many people. James said Cam has 4 on staff. There you go. So, I mean, how many people you need? To do what? What are they doing? All you got to do is set up the camera, turn the camera on. Maybe if you have guests, you have somebody whose job is coordinating the people, because coordinating people is like herding cats. Trust me, I know. And other than that, what else are they doing? You don't need 200 people. They got 200 people. World of Unemployment say you're guessing on these numbers. Of course I'm guessing. That's why I'm asking the audience what they think. What do you think I'm doing? Anyway, an independent creator can set up their whole thing. You look at Cam Newton. He has a studio. Candace Owens, I don't know where she records. Megyn Kelly has a studio. Steve Bannon, look at his setup. Look at Alex Jones' setup. Shannon Sharp, he has a studio. Look at these people with their studio setups. Bill Simmons, even. I listen to his more than I watch it. Jason Whitlock, he has a studio. And he's a little bit different because he's signed up with, I think, the Blaze. But these people who have these platforms, how much the studio doesn't cost $20 million? You can rent out studio space. Here in South Florida, you can rent out studio space for, how much would it cost to rent out some studio? If I'm on to rent a studio just to record this, I record this in my home office. But if I wanted to get a studio and rent out space, let's just say I needed 2 hours to rent out space in South Florida, even in the heart of Miami, like the most expensive place you could go, South Beach, downtown, Brickell, anywhere. If I want to rent out studio space, it might cost me maybe $300 a day. Not for the whole day, but 2-3 hours, $300. I can rent out the whole studio. Now, let's say I do my show 5 days a week. So let's say 5 days a week. Let's just do the math on this, folks. I'm renting out the studio 5 days a week. It's going to cost me $300 a day. So each week's costing me $1,500. There's 4 weeks in a month. That's $6,000 a month to do my show. Multiply that by 12 months. It will cost me $72,000 to rent out a studio. I might eventually just lease a studio if I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do all that, so that'd be $72,000 in a year. But I might as well just lease a studio and just have my own studio space. Now I got it 24 hours a day. I record a whole bunch of stuff. I can sublease and rent it to other people, and they can record, and I can make my money back. But $20 million, again, and that's not even including, let's say I hire a couple people to come work for me. Most of the time be part-time if I'm only recording for 2 hours a day. So anyway, I'm just doing the math here, some simple math here to help y'all understand that this is bloated stuff. This is another reason why Colbert got canceled, because CBS is looking at this like this is not sustainable. We can't keep doing this. And on top of the fact that people don't even trust or want to listen to this guy anymore, at least half of America, what's the point? So public trust is shifting, as I already said, from legacy institutions. Colbert got caught up in that. He got caught in the midst of being in a legacy institution. When I first heard of Colbert, wasn't he on Comedy Central? Any of you know? Or was that Jon Stewart? Wasn't one of them on, Which one of them was on Comedy Central? What network was Colbert on? Or were they both on Comedy Central? Any of you know what network they were on? Gigi said, Google says 6 on Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens. It's not publicly known. Yeah, so 6 makes sense. I wouldn't guess more than 10 people on those two ladies' shows. Shannon Sharp, I wouldn't guess more than 10. Cam Newton, somebody said it was 4, which sounds about right. So who was on Comedy Central? Was it Jon Stewart or was it Colbert? I think maybe both of them were on Comedy Central. But Comedy Central, at least at that time, Comedy Central is a well, heck, I think Colbert worked with Stewart. They were both on Comedy Central. Toximus Prime says, yeah, okay, so they were both on Comedy Central. So the thing is, Big Sam said 5 to 10 people on the Cam and Mace show. Right, so exactly, that's what I'm saying. Comedy Central was kind of like, they are a broadcast network, but they were like a small, they were like a little brother type thing. Sasha said they were both on Comedy Central. That's what I thought. Comedy Central was more like, yes, they're on TV, but it wasn't like ABC, CBS, NBC. It was more, it felt independent is the best way I can describe it. It felt like an independent platform, even though it technically wasn't. Then when Colbert goes over to CBS, again, you go to CBS and they can give you a 200-person staff and they're going to spend $100 million producing your show. Trust me, you can't just say anything that you want to say on that network. Even I couldn't say anything I wanted to say on that network. They tell you right up front, like before you sign this contract, Dre, you need to understand something. Okay, we write the check here. All right, if we're writing the check, that thing you said on TikTok 3 months ago, don't say that when you're on this show. All right, don't say that. What you said on Instagram yesterday, don't say that when you come on here. All right, understand if you want this check, you can't say those things. Those conversations happen. They don't happen publicly, but those conversations do happen. Somebody's writing a check for that much money. So the perception of political pressure, even if untrue, undermines media independence, which is the point that I just made. That it seems like when you work with one of these platforms, if I was to go take a job tomorrow at Fox, let's say Fox says, Dre, we're going to give you your own show. And everybody's happy. Like, yeah, we like Dre on TikTok. We like Dre on YouTube. I love the fact that Dre got his own show. Congratulations, Dre. I'd be happy because they're probably going to write me a big check. The issue is as soon as I take that check from Fox, as soon as I take the check and I turn on that camera at Fox, even if you knew about me on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, or if you didn't know about me, you see me sitting on those Fox lights, on that Fox studio, on a Fox network, you immediately are questioning, do I actually believe what I'm saying? Because you know that I'm working at a big conglomerate and you cannot just say whatever you feel like saying when you work at these platforms. You can't. And swap out Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, name a network, doesn't matter. ESPN, name one. As soon as you take a check there, there are people in your ear, literally in your ear. If you watch one of those shows, they all got earpieces in. There's an earpiece in their ear telling them what to say, not what to say, but it's letting them know something's happening that they need to kind of change the subject or talk about this, or hey, here's some breaking news, or here's what you got to talk about. They literally have people in their ear telling them what it is and what is not. And as soon as you get to that place, people start questioning, do you really believe what you're saying? And these days, we have options. All of us as consumers, we have options. If I don't like what I'm hearing on NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, I'll just cancel my cable subscription and I'll just get my news from podcasters and TikTokers and YouTubers. And I'll know just as much as the person who watches TV. What am I missing by not watching TV? I don't own a television. I've not owned a TV in over 10 years. What am I missing? Nothing. I know exactly what's going on just like everybody else. So TV hosts today are in competition with TikTokers, podcasters, streamers, and they're losing. In case any of you didn't know. All of you, I just asked all of you earlier, do you have cable TV? And a bunch of you said yes, but look what you're doing right now. You're on social media listening to somebody who's not on network TV talk about something that happened in the news. So it's obvious they're losing. Legacy media is losing to independent platforms. Social media has won this battle. They won the entire battle of getting the attention of the consumer. Most people get all of their news from the internet these days, whatever you consider to be the internet, whether we're talking Chat GPT, some person on the internet, X, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. People are getting their information from other individual people, and they're listening to people who are interpreting and sharing the news or pieces of the news or what they purport to be the news, even if they're not telling the truth. This is where most people are getting their information from these days. And legacy television tried hard to try to win back that audience, but they're losing for reasons that are built in for them to lose. I told you, ease of access. Number two, people do not trust them, and they're being undermined by people like me who will say, you can't trust somebody on CBS because they got a bunch of bosses telling them what to say. I ain't got nobody telling me what to say. So who do you think's telling the truth, me or them? If you had to pick one, you probably want to pick me. And when I say me, I mean anyone who has an independent platform. I'm not just saying me personally. And it doesn't cost you anything. If you want to listen to somebody on TikTok, there's no subscription. There's no cable contract. There's nothing you got to pay for. There's no satellite dish they got to put on the top of your house and turn to the southwest so you can get the signal. You ain't got to do nothing. All you got to do is open up your phone and just listen. It costs you nothing. There is no friction. There's a frictionless access. Why would anybody turn on TV? Why? And 10 years from now, there's going to be fewer and fewer and fewer people with TV. Most of you said you got cable subscriptions. I would guess most of you are over the age of 40. Now, as this group who's over the age of 40 ages out, I'm not hoping that you pass away, but as this group ages out, think about your kids or your grandkids. Are they watching TV? Hell no. They're not watching TV. They get all their information from their devices, their handheld devices. So if Colbert was punished for his views, some say, it opens the door to state pressure on critics, that basically Trump is using his position in the executive branch to pressure anybody who's a critic of him. So that's a laughable claim. And the reason why that's a laughable claim is because who hasn't trashed Donald Trump for the last 10 years? Over the last 10 years, who hasn't gone at Donald Trump? Everybody's going at Donald Trump. Even people who voted for him have gone at Donald Trump. I heard Andrew Schultz was going at Trump, even though he voted for Trump. Megyn Kelly was questioning Trump. Candace Owens has questioned Trump. A bunch of people who are outright open conservatives questioning Donald Trump. Everybody's questioned and challenged Donald Trump over the last 10 years. But all of a sudden, he just picked this one guy to go at. Really? Really? That's the argument people are making? It's a flimsy argument when you think about it for even 3 minutes, that he's just going at them just because they questioned him. Everybody has questioned him. There's no one who's been 100%, I'm going to go with everything Trump says the entire time he's been in. Very few people, especially not public figures who have platforms. So it doesn't even add up. Please keep liking the live over on TikTok. Let's get up to 50,000 likes before I get to the questions and comments, please. So Colbert's fall reflects a broader collapse. This is not censorship. It's just he's become obsolete. That's what it is. Traditional media people, obsolescence is what's happened. You saw this happen to Joy Reid, who is not nearly as good. Joy Reid on her best day was not even close to what Jon Stewart and Colbert were. On their best day, they were actually good. I said that like 5 times. Joy Reid was never good. Don Lemon was never good. And these people are getting canceled out. And here's the other thing. And Jon Stewart and Colbert, they're both older. And Jon Stewart, I've heard enough of his stuff. He's similar to Barack Obama. Is that in his day, I'll give Jon Stewart credit here. Even though y'all saw that video of him with the GFY, the go fuck yourself dance he did with the choir the other day. Did y'all see that video? All right, that's a guy. How do I describe this? When I saw Barack Obama on the campaign trail last fall trying to stump for Kamala Harris, it was clear that Barack Obama had lost his fastball. Barack has lost his fastball. So people are saying if Trump runs for a third term, that means Obama will run for a third term. I don't think Obama will win, but let's not even talk about that because that's not going to happen. Neither one of them is running in 2028. Obama has lost his fastball, but the smart thing about Barack Obama is that he's pretty quiet these days. You see, when you lose your fastball, the smart thing to do is be quiet. See, Michael Jordan ain't Michael Jordan anymore, but you don't see Michael Jordan on the court trying to prove nothing, right? So when you don't have your fastball anymore, what you do is you go sit down in the bleachers and you watch the game and you watch the next generation play. Barack Obama's pretty quiet. Now, his wife podcasting, Barack Obama ain't saying nothing. Michael Jordan watches the players who play now. He ain't playing. When you lose your fastball, you need to sit down so you don't make yourself look bad and tarnish your own legacy. Jon Stewart, in his prime, was in political comedy what Obama was in politics. Jon Stewart was very good in his prime. Colbert was very good in his prime. Both of these guys are past their prime, on top of the fact that they're on these legacy platforms, and they're trying too hard to connect to the audience that is today, and they're trying to get viral moments and stuff like that. It doesn't work. It's just not working anymore. And it's unfortunate for both of them because they were both very good when they stayed in their lane. They got out of their lane, so that's their fault. And the fact they're in legacy media, I don't feel bad for them. I mean, Stephen Colbert is making $20 million a year. How many of you feel bad for Stephen Colbert? I don't feel bad for him. $20 million, he's all right. You can wipe his tears with his money. All right, he's okay. But they have become obsolete because they've been trying too hard. Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert. The reason I brought up this part right here is this. When Joy Reid got canceled, I don't know what she's doing now. Anybody know what Joy Reid is doing these days? And if you follow Joy Reid's work, if you want to call it that. Don Lemon. I think Don Lemon has a podcast or something like that, or he's wasn't Don Lemon was supposed to have a show on X, and Elon was going to have him on X, and then Don Lemon went and he did something. He criticized Elon, and then Elon canceled the show because Don Lemon just didn't know when to leave well enough alone to be quiet. What is Joy Reid doing these days? So anyway, the point being, when you're with a traditional platform like legacy media, and you lose your show for whatever reason, you get canceled, like you leave your contract, like Megyn Kelly did. You get fired from the company you were with, like Candace Owens got fired, or they just cancel your show, like Joy Reid and Don Lemon. You know what you can do, and everybody can do? Start your own platform. Start your own platform, and please keep liking and live, everybody. Ryan said Joy Reid's doing the Chitlin Circus, complaining about life. Okay, that sounds about where she belongs. Anyway, so all you got to do is go to an independent platform, or start an independent platform on your own, and just put your own stuff out there. Anybody can put a video on YouTube for free. Anybody can put a video on YouTube for free. Anybody can live stream on TikTok for free. Anybody can start a podcast basically for free. And if you're any good and you have actual substance, even if you get fired from a legacy platform, you should still be able to make yourself relevant, as the young people like to say these days, younger people like to say these days, relevant, quote unquote, by doing it independently. If you're any good, you should survive. You shouldn't fall off. I mean, you might not have as many people simply because you don't have the machine behind you like you would on CBS. I don't expect everybody who's on YouTube to get the same number of views as somebody who's on CBS. You just have a built-in audience when you're on CBS. That doesn't matter. You could be, I mean, they could put a ham sandwich on this show is going to get 20,000 views just because you're on CBS. But you shouldn't just completely fall off the face of the earth if you have actual substance. This is the compliment. I can't give a better compliment than that than I give to Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens. Both of them are on big platforms that had a built-in audience. They both left those platforms, and they both still have a huge audience to this very day. And it's not because of my personal preference for them. It's because the audience has said, the world has said, we want this. The market has responded and said, we want this. We want what Candace is putting out. She does more investigative, deep dive journalism. Megyn Kelly's more everyday news. These are two people who I listen to consistently, so I'm using them as an example. Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart, they're any good. All they got to do is start a YouTube channel. Let's see. Let's see if you're good. Start a YouTube channel, start a podcast, and let's find out. Stephen A. Smith, he's on ESPN. I don't listen to Stephen A. Smith's independent stuff. I don't even watch ESPN, but I see his clips, of course, as he's very well known. Stephen A. Smith has an audience on his show that he does on YouTube. Let me look up Stephen A. Smith's show. And again, this is a guy who generally, I don't even always agree with a lot of stuff that Stephen A. Smith is saying. I don't watch his show on ESPN. I don't listen to his podcast, but I'm looking at Stephen A. Smith on YouTube, 1.26 million subscribers on 3,000 videos. All right, that is the market clearly saying, we want this. All right, that's what I'm bringing this up to give you all examples. I'm not just giving you examples of people who I like. I'm giving you examples of people who I don't even mess with their stuff like that. 1.26 million subscribers, Stephen A. Smith on YouTube. Let's look up Shannon Sharp. I don't listen to Shannon Sharp stuff either. Shannon Sharp, where is his Club Shay Shay is what he calls it. Let me type that in. Club Shay Shay. Club Shay Shay, YouTube. 4 million subscribers on the same number of videos as Stephen A. Smith. 3.3 thousand videos, 4 million subscribers, Shannon Sharp. And these are guys who still work in network TV because they read the writing on the wall. All right, these guys are smart. Stephen A. was smart. Candace Owens was smart because she had a YouTube before she got fired from the Daily Wire. Shannon Sharp, smart. They read the writing on the wall and said, okay, let me make sure I'm good independently just in case this legacy check stops. Just in case I ain't getting this check anymore, let me make sure I'm good on my own. Well, let me make sure I have a platform where I can say whatever I want, because when I'm on my job, I got to talk about what the producers tell me to talk about. But over here, I can talk about whatever I want, which is what Stephen A. Smith is doing. Stephen A. talks about, what are you talking about? Politics. And Stephen A. Smith has very little to offer in terms of substance when it comes to politics. However, I can't knock his hustle. It's working. People want to hear what he has to say. I don't know who those people are, but they're people. 1.26 million subscribers. You can't argue with that, whether you like it or not. The point being, if you have substance, and substance means you can add something to the conversation that somebody wants to hear, and it doesn't all have to be about yourself. That's what substance means. If you can do that, and you can do it, and you're any good, you should be able to do it independently the same way you did it with the machine behind you. And most people don't have a machine behind them. So most independent platforms, again, even if I don't mess with their stuff, You can't argue with the fact that they are providing something useful to an audience of people. And that's the way the market works. You provide something useful to an audience, they'll give you money. That's business. And again, they could be OnlyFans. It could be some podcast talking about rap music. It could be some athlete that used to play talking about what they used to do back in the day. If that works and people want to hear it, that's business. Joy Reid, Don Lemon, where they at? If you're any good, it should be easy. Where's the dude that was on CNN, Kumo? Is it Andrew Kumo or Chris Kumo? Which one of them was it? Was it Chris? I think Chris was on TV. Which one was the TV guy? Was it Chris? Where's he at? Let's see if we can look him up. Somebody let me know. Was it Chris Kumo who was on CNN? Chris Kumo. Yeah, it was Chris on CNN. All right, so Chris Kumo, he's on YouTube. All right, let's see him. The Chris Kumo Project is the name of his show. It's an official podcast. He got 500,000 subscribers on 500 videos. Okay. All right, we gotta respect that. I gotta give respect to this. 500,000 subscribers on 500 videos. Now Stephen A got 1.26 million subscribers on 3,000 videos. This guy has way fewer videos, but about close to half as many subscribers on way fewer videos. So, all right, we got to give Chris Kumo respect on that. I'm not a fan of Chris Kumo, but the market is the market, folks. It's a results-based business. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? So this is the way it works. So the merger, anyway, where was I at? All right, I already talked about the merger thing. Audiences today want authenticity and we want speed. That's it. We want to get the things quickly, easily, with as little friction as possible. And we want to know that whoever is talking is telling us what they really think. Even if we disagree with it, do you believe the person is telling you what they really believe? That's all I want. Network TV is collapsing. It's about to be over for network TV. So if any of you who's a fan of network TV, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're a fan of network TV. It's about to be over. All right, the thrill is gone for all legacy network television. All that said, folks, let's open the floor up for some discussion. Kevin McNulty over there on YouTube said he just dumped cable. Shout out to everybody dumping cable. He says, I can't imagine disrespecting the very people who are prospects, clients, or those who gave me the opportunity to have this platform in the first place. Yes, that's right. Over on Facebook, I can't see anything on LinkedIn. If there's comments on LinkedIn, I can't see them. Maybe it's just no comments. What we got over here on Instagram, Kevin McNulty, you double dipped. You have another comment on Instagram. All right, but I just read yours. Sasha Sims said the Colbert Report on Comedy Central was hilarious. Yes, I like the show. When he was on Comedy Central back in the day during the Obama years, Colbert was actually very good. I like Stewart too. I like Colbert probably better. But they both lost the plot. So if you got a comment, I'm reading from the oldest to the newest comments, folks. If you're on TikTok, please like the live. Can we get the 50,000 likes? Don't make me pull Kevin Samuels on y'all. Can we get the 50,000 likes, please, on TikTok? We're at 45,000. Should I pause? I ain't got any pause music, but I need 50,000 likes before I start reading these comments. If you're on TikTok, just tap the screen, and that makes the likes go up. We're at 46,000. We just need 4,000 more likes. This can happen in like 30 seconds if y'all tap the screen. We've done this before. So if y'all just tap the screen, the likes will go up. We'll get the 50K. Then I'm going to take questions and comments. I'm reading the comments from the oldest to the newest, and some of them got cut off because when there's a lot of comments, TikTok kind of limits how many you can see. But I'm just reading them from what I can see. So if I don't read your comment, it's not personal. I'm just reading the ones that I can see and the ones that I can respond to and add some context to. So if you leave a good comment, then I'm going to respond to it. And please do not spam my comments. If I didn't read your comment, I might have seen it. Maybe I just didn't read it. Don't spam my comments or posting the same thing 10 times. Don't do that because then we'll have to kick you out. All right, we're at 49.8, 49.9, 50,000. Thank you, everybody. See how quickly we did that? Lahek said, Chappelle has finesse. Yes, he does have finesse. He's pretty good. Rain said, am I saying Colbert deserves what happened or is he a victim of Trump? Rain, unbelievable. Second comment that I read, folks. Rain gets the straw man of the day. Actually, no, we're not going to call this a straw man. Actually, we can't give you the straw man day. We give you the false binary of the day. So you do get a clap for the false binary of the day. False binary is when someone presents you a question and they give you two options as if those are the only two options, i.e. binary, as if there are not many other options. Rain, I just spent the last 60 minutes explaining what happened and exactly what I'm saying. So when you say, are you saying, you got to be very careful with this phrase, are you saying, or so you're saying. I don't like when people say this phrase talking to me because that means what you're about to do is take what I already said very articulately and eloquently, if I may say so myself, and you're going to rephrase it into something that you said. Here's the problem. You can't put my words better than I can put my words. So as soon as you use "are you saying," you're about to rephrase my speech into your speech, which means you're by default making it worse. So ask me a better question. Michael said George Carlin was serious and Lenny Bruce. Yeah, those people I never listed. I don't know who Lenny Bruce is. I know who George Carlin is. Cora, thanks for the follow. Katie Marie, thanks for the follow. Heck, shout out to you for the gifter badge. Daniel said replaced it with Sling. You replace cable with Sling? Yeah, I've seen all these things. I just don't like the pay every month. I don't really watch television like that. So I cannot justify paying for this stuff. Even kids, they look at iPads. I was there, said I have an antenna in my attic. Yeah. Maria said I just canceled Hulu Live. I was paying $85 a month. $85? They taxing. That's what we call taxing, when they charge you a lot for something. Tanya, thanks for the follow. Susan said they all trash him. Yes, exactly. So why is he going after just one guy? Susan said The View is horrible. I don't like The View, but they got a lot of fans. Angelica, good morning. Scott said Jimmy who? Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. Y'all know who he is. The guy who gets on TV and cries when he's talking about Donald Trump. Rigo said, what's going on with this Meta lawsuit for censorship? I haven't seen that, so I can't talk about it yet. Big Sam said Trump is going to go after all of them. Mine just lined up, make it easy to get him. That sounds good, but I don't think that's the reason that it happened. It sounds good I see a lot of people on X saying that, but I don't think that's the reason. Lorray said that's Donald Trump's fault, not nighttime TV. If he wasn't so blank, they probably wouldn't trash. No, I don't think so. I just explained to you for an hour why it's not because of Donald Trump. It's easy to blame it on Donald Trump. And a lot of people who don't like Trump find ways to blame everything on Donald Trump, but I don't think that's the case. The market is speaking. Traditional legacy television is falling apart. That Donald Trump didn't make that happen. Daniel said, it's like the boy who cried wolf. There's so much fear mongering, their words lose value. Yes, exactly. That's one thing. Bourbon said, I will vote to allow him a third term. Okay, fair enough. I don't think it's going to happen. On top of the fact, Donald Trump's actually pretty old. I think we need to put a limit on how old you can be when you're president. I don't want Donald Trump to run for a third term. I think 2 is enough, and I think Donald Trump should be smart enough to know when to walk away. And I think he is smart enough to know when to walk away. Actually, as a matter of fact, according to the Constitution, he can't be president again anyway. So I don't think he's going to try. I don't think it'd be a good idea, even if he thought he could get away with it. Big Sam said, this is a no-brainer. He did a show on the $16 million bribe to the network, gave Trump, and then gets fired. I don't think it's a no-brainer. Angelica said, I think they're looking for impeachment, aren't they? Well, who's they? You're talking about the Democrats? They're always looking to impeach Donald Trump. If they win in 2026, they're going to impeach him again. He's going to fail again, and there's going to be this big story, and I'll do a live about it, but nothing's going to happen. They're going to impeach him. They're going to fail to get him removed, and they're going to say, oh, well, he's been 3 times impeached. That's proof that he's not good. Okay. World of Unemployment said, people who claim TDS do so to dismiss valid criticism. I didn't dismiss valid criticism. I addressed it. World of Unemployment. If there's any valid criticism that I did not address, tell me what it was, because I've addressed all of it. So what you're saying sounds good in theory, but it falls apart when examined. Big Sam said, Trump gives comedians all the material they need. Yes, I believe Colbert believed what he says. Okay. If you believe it, fine. If you believe Trump's giving the material, also fine, because he is the president. He's the most visible employee in the country. So every president gives comedians material. And then when you combine material with emotion, then this is what you get. You get Colbert, you get Jon Stewart, you get The View, you get all these people. You get Jimmy Kimmel, you get all these individuals. You get Joy Reid, you get Don Lemon, you get all of them. Joey Spags, thanks for the follow. Big Sam said, we laugh daily at the stuff Trump does, that all his administration is good for daily laughs. Okay, fine. Then I guess you can watch Stephen Colbert, you can laugh with him. But laughing at him, what does that actually achieve? That was the whole point that I made earlier. I said, all right, after he won the second term, I figured, all right, at least people will talk about him rationally. What's the point of making fun or allegedly laughing or ridiculing or any of these things? What is that going to do to change anything? He's still the president. He's still going to do whatever he does. So you claiming that you're laughing at him, what does that do? What does that accomplish? Again, it's not like he can be voted against. What are you doing? Marky said they cried on election day. Yes, a lot of people cried on. Well, people cry every election day. People cried when Obama won. They cried when Trump won. They cried when Biden won, and they cried when Trump won again. So people cry every election day. So I don't know. This is what happens. People just cry. Michelle, thanks for the follow. Sarah Nija, 1989, thanks for the follow. Marky Man, shout out to you on the gift badge. Man of Steel. Oh yeah, Joe Rogan is another good example. Bet Joe Rogan has less than 10. Yeah, probably. He probably got a couple Cameron people. He got his guy behind the camera we hear his voice, but we don't see his face. Who he always, what's that guy's name? Jamie. Who Joe Rogan like asking to pull stuff up on the computer. He got that guy. He probably has a person who coordinates the guests, and maybe say two or three other people doing everything else. And that's it. Oh, makeup and hair. Yeah, for the women, you might have a makeup and hair person, but I mean, women know how to do their own makeup, don't they? I don't think they have a full time. If you're talking independent platforms, Marky Man, I don't think Megyn Kelly has a full time makeup person just sitting there waiting to do her makeup. I don't think that's the case. Now, if you're on TV, there's a makeup person because they get to do everybody's makeup. And I don't think Joe Rogan does makeup for his show. I don't think there's any makeup for Stephen A. Smith either. Big Sam says Shannon Sharp has 5 members on his Proton team. He does not include unlisted support staff. Yeah, and his unlisted support staff, what's Proton? As far as support staff, I'll say maybe no more than 5. Again, what do you need them for? What are they doing? Man of Steel said, build your own studio in your house for a lot less than $72K. Yeah, exactly. So I think Bill Simmons, for example, has a studio in his house. I think it's in his house. I've heard him mention it. I think he says people come to his house to record. But he's with Spotify, but it's still an independent. His company basically got acquired, so he still works independently, but under the acquisition of Spotify. Scott said, I've never even listened to this Colbert guy. Okay, I haven't listened to him for a while, but I did used to listen back in the day. He was funny. Now, if you look up some of his old stuff, if it's available, he was actually funny. Big Sam said 5 to 10 workers on Cam and May show, plus the 3 on the Made, Cam, and Stat. What's Made, Cam, and Stat? I don't know what that is. But 5 to 10 people sounds about right. And they're in the studio. So Cam and May show, they probably rent out a studio. I don't think that's their studio. They probably rent it out. They use it for their show, and then they move out, and then they take their stuff down, put other people's stuff up, and they come record. That's what a lot of people do for their shows these days. They rent out studio space. They set it up to record for their show. Then they take all their stuff down. Not they, but the people who run the studio. They take their stuff down. They put somebody else's stuff up. They come in and record. So if I say I want to record in the studio, they'll set it up with my stuff. I record. I leave. They set it up for the next person. They record. And then they just make money all day while people pay to use the studio. Ideally, I say the best thing is just get a bigger living space and put a studio in your house. That way you don't have to commute. You don't have to pay anybody money. You don't have to worry about other people being in there and it being set up the way you want. It does give you an excuse to get out the house, though, if that's necessary, if that matters to you. Please get the likes up, everybody. We got 20 more minutes on this live. Please get the likes up. Let's get to 60,000 likes, please. Jackie, D Smile, thanks for the follows. Ray, thank you. Man of Steel said ESPN is one of the worst when it comes to that. I understand, which is why they are trying to pivot. That's why they went and got Mr. McAfee, because he was independent doing his thing. They went and paid him because they want him to bring his audience to ESPN. Birdman said, I don't own a TV either. Yeah, I haven't had a TV for a while. Gambino said, I just have internet service. Yes, that's what I got. So my internet bill is like less than $100 a month. All I need is the internet. Anna said, I have TVs and don't watch, nor do I have cable. So what you got the TV for? What are you watching? What do you do with the TV if you don't have cable? Bourbon said, I don't have home internet either. I limit myself. Well, what are you doing when you're home? Reading books? Bourbon. Gambino says, social media is winning because it's raw, unfiltered. The news media nowadays pushes agenda. Yes, that's the way most people look at it, which is exactly the point. Bendu said, that's what I did because every time I turn on my TV, it's something negative. That's true. I mean, if it bleeds, it leads. Has always been a concept in TV, traditional media, and in newspapers. Cody Clemens, CC Cobbs, thanks for the follows. Rippin' Head said, Trump took his show as a political move. It has nothing to do with money. I don't think so. That sounds good, but I don't think so. Hernan the Don said, did I see South Park with the Trump sketch? I don't watch South Park, so no, I didn't even know there was a Trump sketch. Chris said, next thing we got to cancel is The View. Well, if they start losing money, or if they are losing money, they will get canceled. It's a matter of time, but The View is a heavily female audience, and those women are emotionally connected. The View does a good job of maintaining their audience. Whoever it is, they do a good job of connecting on an emotional level with their audience members. They're not quite Oprah Winfrey, but they do connect emotionally. I think they're going to stick around, at least for now. On top of the fact that they're all women, it'd be harder to cancel an all-women show than it would be to cancel Stephen Colbert, just because of the feminist push that's happening these days. Same way it'd be harder to cancel the WNBA just because of their women. If the WNBA was a men's league, it would have got canceled 15 years ago. 22 Jay Vasquez said, unless you're Pacquiao at 46 years old. Is he still boxing? Big Brain Energy says, Barack has been saying some foul stuff lately. People rejected it. Yeah, he lost his fastball. That's my whole point. In 2008, Barack Obama was on fire. He ain't got the same fastball he used to have. Mr. Ohio said, Don Lemon's on TikTok. How's he doing on TikTok? That's the question. Is he doing well on TikTok, or is he floundering on TikTok? That's the question. User said Lemon is doing great. Okay, so he's doing great on TikTok, or what is he doing? Big Sam said Don Lemon does TikTok, has a fairly large following. Okay, there you go. Now, Don Lemon should be doing more than TikTok. He don't have a podcast or nothing. Don Lemon was on CNN. So he was reporting the news, which means I would expect somebody like Don Lemon to just start up a podcast and just talk about the news every day. Why is he just doing TikTok? I thought he could do more than that. Let's see how Don Lemon is doing on TikTok, since a bunch of you said Don Lemon is on TikTok. So let's see. Let's look up Don Lemon. I hope it doesn't affect I don't actually even use TikTok. So let's see. Don Lemon on TikTok. He's born March 1st. This is on his profile. He's born March 1st, 1966. Best known for his tenure on CNN. He was only on CNN for 10 years. I thought it was longer than that. So, this is Wikipedia that came up. So Don Lemon on TikTok has 1.4 million followers, 38 million likes. I'm looking at his videos. Looks like he's getting a good number of thousands of people liking his posts. But I see videos of him. Looks like he's sitting in front of a microphone. So he looks like he has a podcast. Y'all know about this podcast? I think Don Lemon has a podcast. Look, I'm looking at this. This is one of his videos on TikTok. You see how he's sitting in front of a mic? The mic tells me this is a podcast. So it's not like he's just recording for TikTok. Now, he does have some videos that look like they're just for TikTok. But it looks like Don Lemon has a podcast. So let's see where his podcast is. So it says right here, host of the Don Lemon Show, streaming everywhere now, donlemon.com. So let's go to donlemon.com and see what Don Lemon's doing. Don Lemon. The Don Lemon Show, Wikipedia. All right, Don Lemon's on YouTube. Okay, so let's hold him to the same standard. 775,000 subscribers on 1.8 thousand videos. This is actually pretty good. All right, Don Lemon's doing pretty good. All right, 775,000, so that's 3/4 of a million on less than 2,000 videos. That's solid for a guy coming from CNN. Now, guys coming from, I'm not comparing him to people who are just independent whenever on TV. This guy was on network TV, which means he has a built-in audience of people who know him just because he was on network TV, whether you're good or not. 775,000 subscribers is a respectable number for somebody coming from TV. And he's putting out his show. I'm assuming he's putting out episodes all the time. Let's see. Yeah, his last episode came out 15 hours ago and had 148,000 views because he's claiming Trump's in the Epstein files, of course. Then he was talking to Elon Musk. Oh, a year ago, he talked to Elon Musk. We know that that's the one that got him canceled when he came out. He said something dumb. He interviewed Candace Owens a year ago, so he has his biggest one. So his video from 2 days ago, it was his live stream. He always has big breaking news, and he's always using Donald Trump's face or Epstein and then himself. That got 72,000 views. So Don Lemon's doing actually pretty good. So whatever Don Lemon does, I'm not a fan of Don Lemon, but whatever he does is working. Okay, so again, we got to give people credit. We're just talking market here. I'm not talking message. We're talking market. It works. Now, Joy Reid, where's she at? Where's Joy Reid? Let's see if Joy Reid's on YouTube. Now, Joy Reid was on MSNBC, which is not as big as CNN. But I would think Joy Reid's still doing her thing. So Joy Reid, she has a show, the Joy Reid Show. Y'all noticing the pattern here? The Joy Reid Show, 233,000 subscribers on 100 videos. That's actually pretty good. So just a month ago, she put this out. So she just started her YouTube channel a month ago, I guess. 233,000 in a month is actually pretty good. Now, that's the early start, but let's just see how her show actually does. That's when we find out if it's real or not. But she's doing the same thing Don Lemon is doing. Like, if you look at her thumbnails, it looks exactly like Don Lemon's. It's the same stuff. They grab a couple faces, talk about whatever's happening in the news that day. They make some claim of something happened, and then they get a whole bunch of people to go click on it because they're talking about the news. So they're doing the same thing they were doing before. Joy Reid, Don Lemon, all these people. And if you're good, you should be able to do that, especially if you came from network TV, because again, you have a built-in audience of people. So Sky Blue said Reid has a podcast. Yes, she does. User said, you love Tucker Carlson, though? I didn't even mention Tucker Carlson. I didn't even say his name. Gigi said, correct. People want to see him, they will follow him to another platform. That's correct. User said, what do? I run a company called Work on Your Game Incorporated, where we weaponize discipline, structure, and systems to help people accelerate performance and collapse timeframes in business. So we work with entrepreneurs, professionals, and professional teams. Man of Steel said, Tucker is okay. I'm just saying people thought he was done after getting fired from Fox. Yes, well, he's another one now that a couple of you have brought him up. Tucker Carlson went and built his own audience. If you're any good, you should be able to build your own audience doing the same thing you were doing before. If you came from the mainstream platform. Big Brain said, I like Stephen A., but he sometimes retracts his views because of cowardice. Well, it looks like Stephen A. Smith's trying to get into politics. So when you get into politics, you got to say what you got to say to keep yourself moving up in the polls. And it looks like he's trying to maneuver himself for politics. He says, I don't want to, but I will if I have to. And that's nonsense. He's trying. Now, if he succeeds or not is a different story, but he's trying. Vol Exec. Good morning. Thank you for the follow. Big Brain said, Candace, Megan, Tucker now free from the corporate machine. Yes, a lot of them are going to be free. Everybody's going to be free from the corporate machine soon. So any of you mad at oligarchs, at least the media ones, they're not going to be oligarchs in media anymore because there's not going to be any. Everything's going to be independent. Truth Garrett said, I feel the same way about rapper. You don't need the machine if you got the fan base. That's also true. It's also true. I'm thinking about that one. You may lose some of your audience. I mean, they all going to lose some audience because you just don't have the reach when you're not in the machine. But you should still be able to do something because your fans should come with you if you're any good. And that applies to rappers too. You're right about that. Daniel, we appreciate you. There was something somebody else said here that I meant to respond to, but I lost it. I might come back to it. Big Brain said Chris Cuomo is struggling. Well, his numbers look good as far as subscribers and with the amount of videos he has out. The thing is, here's the thing when you're on an independent platform, because when you work at CBS, they give Stephen Colbert $20 million a year. All right, so look, you got $20 million coming in no matter what you do. Just do the show. As long as you have a show, you're getting $20 million a year. You got a contract. If you get on YouTube, YouTube ain't guaranteeing you nothing. You get ad revenue from YouTube, and then you got your sponsors, and that's how you make your money. But is that going to add up to $20 million a year? Probably not. So all these people who I mentioned, Don Lemon, Joy Reid, even Megan, Candace, Tucker Carlson, they're probably not able to completely replace the income they were making on traditional platforms. Because a traditional platform gives you a certain amount of money regardless. It's not performance-based. Now, if your show gets canceled, that's performance-based, but you got a contract that says you get this much. Now, if you're not performing up to the contract, they can cancel the contract, but you get that much till the contract's up. When you get on YouTube, you only get money based on the ad revenue and the sponsors that you have and whatever deals you can work out on your own, which means when you run an independent platform, you have to also run the business. When you work at CBS, all you got to do is show up, record, and go home. Same as I say with a basketball player. If you're LeBron James, you show up to the arena, you play basketball, you go home. If you run the business, people often ask, why don't athletes start their own league? Because they all got enough money, right? They could just put money together and start their own league. One reason why athletes don't start their own league is, number one, they ain't got as much money as you think because they spend money, not just make it. Number two, somebody has to actually run the business. And most of them, just like most of these media people, don't know how to run a business. They know how to do a job. When you have to run a business, you got to handle all the other stuff that allows you to do your job. Who's doing the cameras? Who's doing the editing? Who's doing the production? Who's brokering the business deals? Who's doing the ad deals? Who's doing the sponsorship deals? Who's handling my lighting? Who's going to do my makeup? Who's going to set up the mics? Who's going to set up the studio? Who's going to book the guests? You got to hire people to do all of those things when you're running your own platform. And it sounds simple, but it's not. Actually, it doesn't sound simple. It's running a business is a whole job in and of itself. Doing a job is a job. Running a business is a job. So if you're a person who used to be on CNN, now you got fired and you're about to start your own YouTube channel, you have to handle all of the logistics that allow you to do the show. And that's when you got to learn how to be a business person. And most of these folks, everybody who I mentioned, most of them are not business people. And the ones who I didn't mention. You can learn to be a business person. but you have to learn. It's a skill. It's not just something you just figure out in one day. You learn over time. And or you partner with somebody who's a business person and let them run the business while you just do your job. That's another thing you could do. Partner with somebody who actually knows business. Plausible said Trump is still crying Obama won. Yeah, I don't know about that. They didn't even compete against each other. Why would he be crying? Man of Steel said, I may not catch you every day, but really enjoy your content. Well, thank you. Man of Steel says South Park is ruthless on everyone. Well, that's good. That means people see them as an authentic platform. If they give it to everybody, then that can be respected. I don't want South Park, but assuming that what you said is true, that's how it should be. Simply Farm said, can you talk about the Genius Act that just passed? I can't because I don't even know about it, so I can't talk about it. Trev said his comment towards the black community last year were wild. You mean Trump? I mean Obama? I think if you're talking about the one where he said the brothers got to vote for Kamala, that was wild. I don't know if you're talking about something else. Lacey said, what is the Genius Act? I don't know what the Genius Act is. So I can't talk about it. But if it's big enough news, maybe I'll get to it. So let's see. Jiminy Slick said, why can't the NBA bail out Colbert also? Well, one reason they won't bail him out because he's white. Now, if he was black, maybe he might have a chance. All right, let's see what the genius. No, what I'm not going to ask. I was going to post ChatGPT. I'm going to ask Grok. Y'all use Grok? Is it Grok or Grok? I think it's Grok. So I'm going to ask Grok because Grok is more about current events. ChatGPT is more evergreen stuff. So let's see if Grok can tell me what the Genius Act is. So I asked it, what is it? And it's, first of all, saying it doesn't know what I'm talking about. So let me give it more context. It's a bill that just passed. So let's see if Grok can find out what the Genius Act is. So you're referring to, all right, here it is. The Genius Act, officially the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act, which was signed into law on July 18th, 6 days ago. Here's a concise overview based on that information. It's the first major U.S. federal law regulating stablecoins, a type of cryptocurrency pegged to assets like the dollar or maintain stable value. It establishes a framework for their issuance, ensuring consumer protection and financial stability. So there are reserve requirements. You got to back their coins 1-to-1 with U.S. dollars or short-term treasuries. Regulation. Issuers must be subsidiaries of insured depository institutions, federally qualified non-banks, or state-qualified entities. Consumer protections. It prohibits misleading marketing. You can't claim government backing or FDIC insurance. National security. It enhances the Treasury's ability to combat illicit activities by requiring issuers to comply with Bank Secrecy Act and enabling seizure or freezing of stablecoins when legally required. So Senator Bill Hagerty from Tennessee, a Republican, introduced this bill in May, and it had bipartisan support, including Senators Gillibrand, Loomis, and others. It passed the Senate 68-30 last month, and it passed the House a week ago, and it passed pretty well, 68-30 in the Senate, and it passed the House 308-122. Donald Trump signed it last week, who hailed it as making the U.S. the crypto capital of the world, according to Donald Trump. So this targets 250 billion stablecoin market, the market of 250 billion, to boost innovation, protect consumers, and reinforce the U.S. dollar's global reserve status. So those of you asking me about this, what's the difference between a stablecoin and something like Bitcoin? I'm a Bitcoin investor, but I don't ask me to explain it all to you. But tell me what a stablecoin is. What's the difference between a stablecoin and, let's say, Bitcoin, or is that the same thing? So critics like Elizabeth Warren argued that it lacks safeguards against conflicts of interest, particularly citing Trump's ties to the World Liberty Financial stablecoin ventures. So there you go. Somehow Trump has something to do with this being bad. Supporters from Coinbase and Circle see it as a milestone for regulatory clarity and mainstream adoption of stablecoins. So let me see if I can ask Grok. Grok has this thing where you can talk to it and have a running conversation. What's the difference between a stablecoin and Bitcoin, or are they the same thing?
Stablecoins and Bitcoin are both cryptocurrencies, but they're different in purpose and design. Let me break it.
I probably shouldn't play this out loud. TikTok's gonna give me a warning. So I still have the mic on. It hurt me. So it says stablecoins. Let me get back to where I was. Stable coins and Bitcoins are both cryptos, but they're in different purposes, different designs. So stable coins are designed to maintain a stable value, usually pegged to an asset like the dollar. Okay, I see. I see. Continue explaining the difference. So Grok, their app is good because you can have a conversation. So you can say something, then it says something back, and then you can say something back, and it's like this running conversation. ChatGPT should introduce this. They should steal this from them and use the same thing. So stablecoin maintains a stable value. It's backed with reserves. So you can use it for payments, remittances, trading on crypto exchange, or storing value. So there's an example called the Tether coin. There's a USD coin. It's often centralized or semi-centralized, and it's a stable price. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is a decentralized digital currency that acts as a store of value and a peer-to-peer payment system, operates on decentralized blockchain, secured by miners through proof of work, and is capped at 21 million coins, so it's scarce, so the value can continue to go up. It's useful for investment, speculative trading, store of value, and some peer-to-peer transactions. It's fully decentralized. No single entity controls it. It's highly volatile. Prices are driven by market demand, speculation, and macroeconomics. So stablecoins are about price stability. Bitcoin is volatile, meaning you take a risk with Bitcoin. Stablecoins are for transactions. Bitcoin is more for investment and a hedge against fiat money. Stablecoins are backed by assets. Bitcoin has no backing. Stablecoins face strict U.S. regulation, like the Genius Act. Bitcoin is less regulated. And stablecoins often have centralized issuers. Bitcoin is fully decentralized. With that in mind, those of you asking about the stablecoin, now I mean not stablecoin, the Genius Act, there I just answered, and that came straight from Grok. Shout out to Grok. I still prefer crypto. Personally, I prefer crypto to stablecoin. I know you don't have to pick one or the other, but I prefer crypto. Bitcoin right now is at 118,000. Just for reference, for those who don't know, at this time last year, Bitcoin was worth $67,000 per Bitcoin. Now it's worth $118,000. So the price has nearly doubled of Bitcoin. Meaning, if you had invested $500 in Bitcoin at this time last year, just 1 year ago, your $500 will be worth $1,000 roughly. It's not quite double, but it's close. I personally prefer Bitcoin. I can stomach risk. I'm an entrepreneur, so by nature, I like risk. The right risks can pay off very well. So stable coin, I got to read more about it, but I'm not that much of a. Doesn't sound like my cup of tea, at least from the little bit that I read so far. Big Sam said ChatGPT has had it for quite some time. They have the thing where you can talk to it, Big Sam. I can talk to ChatGPT, and it has the. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Actually, you're talking about the other one. Yes, there is another piece in there. You're right. There is another one in there where you hit the white button and there is a back and forth conversation. This one I haven't used as much. I like the other one where you talk and it transcribes what you say and you put it in there. The reason I don't use even the Grok one, I don't use that often because I don't want it reading my answer. I don't want it reading answers out loud to me. And often I want to be able to say something, read the answer, say something, read the answer. I don't want it reading my answers out loud to me because often I'm in places where I don't want my answers heard out loud. So you're right. ChatGPT does have that. So you're right about that. Man of Steel says, so stablecoins are like treasury bonds or Bitcoins are like stock. Directionally, that sounds about right. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap this one up. We got 68,000 likes here today. I'd like to get to 100,000. We got 68. I didn't pressure on the likes here today, but I will pressure on the likes tomorrow if I remember. So tomorrow's topic, I don't know what it's going to be just yet. We might get to talking about these Joe Biden doctors and Joe Biden's auto pen. Maybe. Or we may talk about something new. We'll see what else is happening in the news. I got to check and see what the current events are. Let me ask Grok right now. Actually, let me ask y'all. Is there a certain topic I should talk about tomorrow for my live stream? Is there a certain topic I should talk about tomorrow for my live stream that is a trending news item or social issue that you think would be good for my live stream audience? Give me your top 5 suggestions. I'm asking Grok right now to give me some suggestions, but AJ said the MLK files. I don't know. Some saying Obama. What about Obama? What about him? I talked about the Tulsi Gabbard thing yesterday. So they say stablecoin may be a good topic. Immigration policy and border security. AI and cybersecurity threats. I'm not that excited about any of these. Social media trends and algorithm changes. So YouTube is shifting to algorithm-driven personalization. They're getting rid of the trending page. I didn't know that. Interesting. I might talk about that. And then climate change and green energy investments. So Grok is saying they suggest focusing on stablecoin regulation in the Genius Act. And they're saying I should do that because I just asked about it. So that's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. Big Sam said melanin being used to make an AI brain. Yeah. Carol Ann said, why now trashing Trump? Who, Obama? Anybody on the Democratic side is trashing Trump. Everybody's trashing. Trashing Trump is not a trending topic because everybody's always doing it. It's like evergreen news. Like the ocean is wet. And somebody trash Trump. Yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll come up with something, folks. I'll come up with something good for tomorrow, as usual. I will see you all tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. If you like this one, come back here tomorrow. Click the links in my profile, get access to my free books. You can get my book, The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. This is my most popular book, my most popular framework. I give speeches and do trainings on this concept. You can get the book for free. Just cover the shipping. Shipping is $9.95 anywhere in the USA. Go to thirddaybook.com. Thirddaybook.com. Book's free. Just cover the shipping. And there's a funnel there, so we'll offer you more books because nobody reads a book and only reads one book. If you read books, you read books, plural, with an S on the end. And as you can see, we got a lot of books. So go to thirddaybook.com. You can learn more about that. Get the book. Dre GPT, my free AI chatbot. You can get access to that. My coaching programs, that's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Everybody have a great Thursday. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. We are out of here.